up, guys? Today I'm going to be talking about crested gecko setups, basic care, feeding, all of that good stuff. This video is basically for beginners and people who are just getting into crested geckos. So if you guys have any questions, just leave them in the comments below and I'll be happy to answer, okay? Or even do a video on them. Thank you very much. Thanks for watching. And this is my basic setup for an adult crested gecko. What I use basically is PVC pipes. I buy them at Home Depot and then just cut them up to fit the cage. These plants you could find at like any dollar store, very cheap, way cheaper than anything you could buy at a reptile store or a pet supermarket or anything like that. The paper towel, it just makes it easier to clean, easier to maintain, and I use this for them to hide under. It's just like an egg carton top. They could just hide under there. So that's my basic setup for an adult crested gecko. And let me show you something else. This is a setup I use for baby crested geckos from when they hatch all the way up to 5 or 6 grams. Just very simple. Half a egg carton over here and a paper towel. Easy to find their food. And yeah, this is just a shoebox container, shoebox Sterilite container you could find at Walmart for $1. You could keep these guys there for up to 6 grams, I would say. Then you would want to move them up to something bigger, maybe a 10-gallon tank. So let me show you that next. Alright, as you guys could see, this is a 10-gallon tank. Again, I only use PVC pipes, some fake plants from the dollar store, a little hideout right there. You guys could keep crested geckos from anywhere from 6 grams to, I would say, 30 grams in one of these 10-gallon tanks. Once they start getting bigger, you should probably move them to something bigger, like a Sterilite container, which will hold more space. It will hold more geckos. So yeah, right now I have a gargoyle here, but you guys could house crested geckos in this with no problem. And yeah, aside from all the simple setups, I also wanted to show you a naturalistic setup. This is one of my bigger tanks. I would say it's about a 30-gallon, and I have just forest moss as a substrate. I have some cork bark pieces, bamboo, fake plants, a cool looking water dish. And yeah, guys, so this is the fun part about keeping crested geckos. You guys get to get creative with all of the setups. So yeah, there you go. Alright guys, so now we're going to talk a little bit about feeding and what I feed my crested geckos. First off, to start, my colony is maintained basically on crested gecko diet, also known as the Repashy meal replacement powder. You could find this at any reptile store or any exotic animal store, and at a lot of the big brand pet stores like Petco, PetSmart, and maybe even Pet Supermarket. This is just a powder you mix with water, and it makes a paste similar to baby food, and the geckos will just tear that up. Next up, you could also feed the Pangea fruit mix. You could find this at PangeaReptile.com. The geckos love this stuff and could be served as a staple diet as long as you feed crickets once or twice a week. Now, crickets are a very important part of the protein intake for crested geckos and pretty much any Rhacodactylus species. So when you're feeding crickets, you want to make sure you coat them with a calcium powder, and if you can, you should coat them with a little extra vitamins and minerals, like this Repashy Super Pig, which is just a pigment enhancer, or this Herptavite, whatever. So yeah, guys, that wraps it up for the feeding, and let's talk about something else now. Alright guys, so I just talked about the feeding for crested geckos and some of the setups that you guys could use. Now I'm going to get into the basic information and basic care. First of all, crested geckos are medium-sized lizards. They grow up to 8 inches just about, and they weigh around 45 grams an average as an adult, okay? They come from the island of New Caledonia, which is an island east of Australia. They were actually thought to be extinct up until 1994, where some specimens were spotted off of a tropical storm. And from there, some people started importing them to the United States, and they became easily, over the years, top 3 or top 5 gecko, or lizard, excuse me, in the United States. The reason why crested geckos have hit the reptile community so hard and why they've become so popular is because of their ease of care, and they can handle, they can tolerate handling very well. Now, when keeping crested geckos, unlike most reptiles, you don't need any additional lighting or heating, so you would just keep them at room temperature, depending on how your house, on what your house ranges in. As long as your house ranges from 70 degrees to 82 degrees, your geckos will thrive and they'll do fine. As far as humidity, since they're from a tropical ambient, they do need more humidity than most animals. So I would recommend misting the babies maybe once or twice, actually twice or 3 times a day, just to make sure they're staying hydrated, and the adults once or twice a day. Humidity is very important with crested geckos. If a crested gecko is dehydrated, he could easily pass away, so you want to make sure you keep them very hydrated. I don't like to use water dishes because I have found with all this time keeping crested geckos that most of the time they just lick the water droplets off the leaves or the walls in the enclosure. So I just decide to mist them, and they will drink water from their decor in their enclosure. Think that's it for now, guys. If you guys have any questions whatsoever, please leave them down below and I'll be happy to answer. So till next time, guys, thank you.